Welcome to Heal, Love, Grow, where we talk about healing yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Today I'm so excited because I have with me Alex Rutarian Santos, and he is a very prominent member of the raw vegan and natural healing community. And so we're just really excited to have him here to share his story. Thank you so much for being here today, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here too.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started in fruitarianism? What brought this about?
How I started is I was on Instagram and I was just scrolling, you know, doom scrolling at the time. And I ran across this person that was doing the fruitarian lifestyle. And he had very good teachings on his Instagram. So he was teaching about how when he started, he went all fruit and he was only eating like every 3 days. And in the step, like in between the 3 days, he was only having honey. But he like showed yeah, he's very intense, but um he showed like how he looked before and how he was gaining muscle, while eating less and only eating fruit and honey. So that really like kind of like shocked me, because I was like, wow, like that goes against everything that we've been, brought up to learn. um, and then also too, like me being an extremist, when I found that out, I'm like, wait, so if I can do that and look really good, I gotta try it. So that was one of the things. Another thing was when he was teaching that pretty much fruit and vegetables is really the only real food that we have. So that really blew my mind as well, because I was like, wow, that is so true. How come I never thought about that? Like, how did this like I never, really actually thought about that. So that really hit me hard, because I was just like, wow, okay, so everything I'm eating is fake, it's processed, it's man-made, 30, 50 ingredients in each thing. And then I was wondering like why I've been sick my whole life. Like I really suffered really bad with like IBS, GERD, acid reflux, food allergies. But in the same time, when I ran across that information, he also was teaching about how the animals we're eating have emotions. They know they're going to be slaughtered before they are going to get, before they even are being slaughtered, they know, they're crying. I saw pictures, I saw videos, and that really touched me in a really deep, deep level, because I couldn't believe that I couldn't, like, I was so blinded, and that I never knew that. Like how did I not know that these animals were suffering and they feel that? And he just explained a little bit more spiritually, what that meant. That we're pretty much in digesting, eating their energy, that fear, that pain, that suffering that they're experiencing gets imprinted in the meat, and that goes on to us. So spiritually, that resonated with me immediately. As soon as I found that out, I'm like, wow, like I can't believe they've been doing this to me, because it's a trick. They do it for a reason. It keeps us bound to the flesh, keeps us bound to our lower consciousness. So, as soon as I found that out, I'm like, oh my God, like what the heck what's been really going on? And like throughout my life, I kind of been like a little conspiracy theorist, and like just, like information that gets, about the government and how they're trying to do this and that. So yeah, that so as soon as I found that out, like I say, it just resonated with truth to me. And from there, he gave like little steps on how to start and what he did, and I just pretty much went like full on straight from there.
Wow, that's awesome. I love how you brought that up because you're the first interview that I've had that just really touched upon that. Well, the last one that didn't get recorded kind of touched upon that. But I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people don't take that into account when they're eating animals or eating animal flesh. And just like you said, they're scared. And those same emotions that they have also get put into you as well. So I'm glad that you did bring that up. A lot of people don't take that into consideration. A lot of things are shielded from us. They don't want us to see the process in which the animals get slaughtered. They don't want us to see, the animals and how they have feelings as well. So
Right.
yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's yeah.
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking for me to, realize that. And I just felt like I personally felt deceived. Like, wow, how because another thing that the information I ran across was that how we've been raised, how we've been taught our whole lives that we need animal meat, you need the protein, you need this, you need that, or else you're not going to survive. You're going to die if you don't have meat.
Yeah.
So, when I found out that was a lie and all I really need was vegetables and fruit, I'm like, oh man, that like really got me. I'm like, this is crazy. So you're telling me that I don't have to eat meat to survive. I don't need to eat meat to grow muscles. But really, all meat is doing is hurting me physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Mm.
Spiritually being the worst part, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up. And, a lot of people, we've just been fed that for so long. And so that's the very first thing that you hear when you start saying, okay, I'm going to stop eating meat. But where are you going to get your protein from? How are you going to survive?
mhm.
You're not going to live. People just, they can't wrap their head around it just because they've been
Yeah.
fed that for so, so long. So I'm so glad that you have shed light on that. Yeah. A lot of
Hmm.
people definitely need to hear that, but it takes a while to digest it. And if you haven't lived that experience, it doesn't make sense to you because you've been fed that, like you said, all of your life. You've been fed that
Hmm.
information. So it's just
Yeah.
really hard to
And
understand.
also too, you gotta be consciously at a certain level to be able to receive the information. Someone that's not in that conscious plane, they're never gonna be receptive to information. So that's really what it is. As soon as this is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everybody's gonna, follow this path or resonate with this truth. But when we do speak, it's gonna resonate with the people that it's meant to touch.
Exactly. And it's all about planting seeds too. I'm glad you said that because it's about planting seeds because for a while I've known that this is what I was supposed to do. And I just never, did it. But, I'm grateful for those who planted the seeds like you're doing today and sharing your story about how you were able to heal and how you are able to maintain muscle and even grow muscle by being
Mhm.
vegetarian. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 it's really cool. It's really interesting because, like when I learned from that guy, like not only was he just eating fruit and honey, but he was eating, like I said, every 3 days. So he explained how, like, the less you eat, the more your body's energy is able to concentrate in, muscle building, growth, recovery. And like I said, he pretty much showed that. And like me personally, a lot of people would like get the information and all of a sudden start going to Google and Google fact checking everything.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't do that because I knew if I did that Google would tell me the exact opposite. And it's true because if you go on Google right now and say, hey, can I survive on a fruitarian diet? It's going to tell you, no, you're going to die. It will literally tell you
exactly.
that you're not going to survive. So, like I said, I went with my intuition. When I learned that, I didn't fact check it. I just kind of tested out myself, and it was the best thing I ever did in my life.
Yeah, if you want to know anything in life, you have to try it out for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, listen, I've
Gotta
done
try
worse
it
in
out. Yeah,
yeah, I've done worse in my life. So, this is gonna be far
yeah.
less
Yeah,
than
why wouldn't you try something that's going to help you out and be beneficial to you? Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So you said that you had IBS. I know you said
Mhm.
you had GERD,
Mhm.
and I think it's one other symptom that you said you were experiencing
So
from.
like it was quite a bit of things. It was food allergies, acid reflux, GERD, IBS. I would get folliculitis on my scalp. I'm not sure if you ever heard that. So they're like cysts that like grow in on your scalp, and it will be so painful. Like I mean, like nothing will be able to touch. I will lose hair. I lost hair permanently. The hair grow back now, but I like for a long time the cyst that formed in the back of my head, I wouldn't grow hair in there. I had bald spots. My whole life, I had cystic acne that left major scarring on my face, and I tried everything, medications, creams, everything, but nothing worked until I finally changed what I was eating, and it cured me pretty much for everything.
Wow. How
Yeah.
long do you how long would you say that it took for you in order to see a difference in yourself after eating this way?
It was pretty fast uh, because when before I started going to all fruit, I was already at the point where I was eating one meal a day, kind of, or like trying to focus on that because, like I said, my whole life I suffer with IBS, severe IBS, where the pains were so deep that my whole digestive system would be shut down. Like I
Wow.
wouldn't be able to eat for like days, and sometimes like 7 days of like a week, I couldn't eat anything because I was in
Wow.
pain. Yeah, it was really, really severe. Um, so like I said, that was, I suffered that my whole life. As I got older, I started realizing that when I would just eat once a day, that it helped manage my symptoms. I would still get it rarely, but it didn't go away, but it kind of managed it. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't like once, twice a month dealing with severe IBS pain where I couldn't eat, it kind of managed my symptoms. So when I ran across information and how I started was I replaced fruit and lunch with, I'm sorry, breakfast and lunch with fruit only.
Mhm.
And then I had one meal for that day, like around 5 o'clock. He didn't really teach, like, I wasn't taught how to start, but I just figured that would be the best way to go about it, you
Yeah.
know? And when I started doing that, it like drastically, I saw differences really, really fast when I did that. But I would say at least from the time I started till like when I lost all my weight in detox, it was a little bit less than 3 months.
Wow.
And when I say that, I wouldn't say that everything in my body was healed, but I wasn't having any of those symptoms anymore. Like at least the severe ones, like
Yeah.
the severe IBS, um, anxiety, the cysts, acne. I dealt with that. I'm 36. So I dealt with acne my whole life. Like just until recently, until like I said, like I became or I chose the fruitarian path.
Yeah. That's crazy. You mentioned your age and you said that you're 36. And I was
Mhm.
looking at some of your pictures on Facebook, and you look so much younger now than you
Mhm.
did then. It's like you
Yeah.
aged in reverse. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
You don't look
sure.
36
It's
at all. So yeah,
Thank
that's
you. I
awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. I know, right? It's really awesome. But yeah, I mean, I see those pictures too. I'm just like, oh my God, they're like, did I really look like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Looking back is definitely a shock for
Mhm.
sure. I was looking at my old pictures the other day, and I'm like, I don't even recognize my old self at all.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah. So, what does your eating regimen look like now? I know you were telling me, how you got
Mhm.
into it, but what does it look like currently, like today? What's your
So now it's completely different. Like it's a lot more intense, but not really intense for me. But like if I tell you, it's gonna kind of seem like that. So, how usually my day goes is that I don't eat anything until like after 5. I try to do, but the whole day I'll have fresh squeezed orange juice. So I'll literally just drink orange juice the whole day. Um, I like doing that because I notice that you know it gives me a lot more energy throughout the day. I have laser focus. It's an amazing feeling, So around 5 o'clock is when the sun starts coming down. So it's a perfect time for me to eat because that's when I'm gonna start settling down. Um, so yeah, I'll drink orange juice, throughout the day, and then either I'll break my fast with a smoothie or just a fruit bowl, something small.
Mhm.
But lately too, I would say for the past couple months, I sometimes wouldn't even have a fruit bowl. Like around 5, I will have like a lettuce avocado wrap, something like that, like something more grounding. My body just was calling for me to have more grounding food at this point in my transition. But
So all day, that's what you'll eat. Usually you'll just have a fruit bowl, or you'll have like something more grounding like a lettuce wrap, is what you said, for the whole
yeah,
entire
like a
day.
lettuce, huh?
And that's
Yeah,
your meal for the whole entire day?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for like a long time, when I would, do this, like there was times where I would just have like one kiwi for a day. Those a little bit more intense, but yeah, most of my days is really fasting. You
Yeah.
know, like that's what I really concentrate is fasting, like really trying to really control myself and discipline myself when it comes to eating. Because when I first started, I started getting into fasting immediately, you know, and I started like fasting 3 days in a row. And then on the other 4 days, I would have one fruit bowl and nothing else. And I did that every week for a really, really long time. So what that taught me was that we really don't need food like we think we do. And even with the little bit that I was consuming, I was growing like crazy. I was growing a lot of muscle. Those when I would be fasting for those 3 days straight, I would be hitting the gym around that time, and I had crazy energy, crazy strength, crazy energy. It was insane. So like when I started, you know, like I said, when I started doing that every week, it just really taught me like we really don't need food like we think we do. And the less I notice, the less I consume, the more results I get when it comes to healing, cleansing, muscle growth, how I feel physically, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah, that's crazy because it's like you said, it's totally opposite of what we've been told, and you're still able to grow muscle
Yeah,
by not
yeah,
eating, and you're giving your system a break, and you're detoxifying your body. Your body is healing and regenerating itself. Yeah,
mhm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because like what happens is that like the reason why like you see me eating so less and I'm still able to grow, it's because when your body is purified and cleansed, your system starts working at an optimal level. So now, for example, when I eat that, you know, one kiwi or the fruit bowl or a smoothie for that day, my body is absorbing every nutrient from that fruit. So, you know, it's literally, yeah, it's taking everything from it. So and my body just absorbs it and makes use of it a lot, you know, more efficiently.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just a side question. Have you ever heard of breatharianism?
Yes, I've, you know, recently, I actually started recently because in the groups, you know, like people talk about it. Yeah.
Do you think maybe you're kind of headed down that path? Maybe at one point that'll be the goal, or just, not maybe fully, but
I mean, I honestly, I haven't even like really researched it.
got
And
you.
when I kind of run across it, I really don't pay attention to it.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I'm right now at this point of my journey, I kind of go with the flow. I go with
Yeah.
my body, you know, tells me to do because now my body's so in tune when it needs a grounding meal, it will tell me. So like, you know, for example, like, you know, last week I had a grounding meal, which is like raw vegetables, like onions, spring mix, things like that, like beets, carrots, whatever, you know, just a veggie bowl. I don't do that a lot, but sometimes my body, like I was going through like this rebuilding phase of my journey where my body was like asking for more of those type of nutrients.
Hmm.
And I don't fight it, you know, like I was so strict myself with fruit and fasting for so long that if you know if I feel like I need a little bit of grounding food, I'm not scared to have
Yeah.
it. Like a
Yeah.
lot of fruitarians, you know, they won't say that or you know this and that, but I'm not. You know, I tell you exactly how it is. Like there's times where like you know my body requires a nice grounding meal. But in terms of breatharian, I really don't know too much about it. But I feel like it's pretty close to you know what that is. But
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I'm not
I
really
just
too
think it's
sure.
so cool that you're just kind of listening to your body and giving your body what it needs. And that's what we're supposed to be doing in life. We're supposed to be just
Mhm.
more intuitive and listening to our bodies and
Right.
just giving it what it needs. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
We don't do that.
exactly.
No. Not at
Yeah.
all.
And like I noticed that when I do that, right, it's not like long term. My body goes straight back to fruit and you know, like immediately, you know. So that's how I know that it's my body telling me what it needs. It's not my emotions, my
Yeah.
mind, my cravings. Um, but definitely I think like I don't know where I'm leading to with this journey, if it's going to be breatharian or more fasting or less fruit, I don't know. But, you know, I'm definitely excited to find out for
Yeah.
sure, like, you know, where it's going to lead to.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is
Right.
what you're doing right
Exactly.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's the best way I feel like.
Which a lot of people find it difficult to do that, but yeah, that's a good
Mhm.
way to go about life. So, when you started making these dietary changes, did you notice that other people may have looked at you differently or strangely, or maybe you lost some friends along the way, or maybe your circle
Mhm.
changed a little bit?
Mhm. Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was a huge shift in my life. It was very dramatic. So when I lost all my weight and people noticed it, like family, friends, my surroundings, they were kind of like confused because I would tell them what I was doing and they kind of looked at me crazy. Um, but also too, like during that period, I had a massive awakening, a spiritual awakening. So when that happened is when I felt like, more of the like family, friends distancing themselves from me, being judged by other people. Uh, but yeah, it was really intense. It was a little scary and lonely, when that happened because, like I said, I lost friends. I wouldn't say I lost family, but at that time, some family members couldn't like adjust to the transition I made, and like it kind of like created like a wall.
Yeah.
But over time, that got better.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely, it was a lot definitely happened around that time.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely, I definitely understand what you went through because I went through the exact same thing. Yeah, but
Really.
that's how life is, you know. In order for you to embrace
Yeah.
it, you have to get rid of the old kind of fall
Yeah.
off. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, no,
that's
for sure. And what it did too, like that happening, it made me press in more into God. It made me really rely on Him, connect with Him. And, I feel like that's, part of the journey, like that happened so, I can get closer to Him. So,
mm,
I'm grateful for it that now, now I see everything for what it was.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, it's an eye opener. Wakes you up for sure. What other
Mhm.
changes in life have you experienced as a result? I know you talk about your health and changes in your inner circle, but have you noticed any other changes that have happened or occurred as a result of you with this lifestyle, this new lifestyle?
Um, that's a good question. So, other changes I can say would be like my mind. Like a lot of my thoughts have changed. How I see others, how I treat others. That was a big thing for me. Being closer to people, being more trusting, being more loving. Um, Let me see what else. That was yeah. The mind was a really big thing because that's something that I had to practice as well. Uh, when it comes to like watching our thoughts, seeing like what we're entertaining. So, I had to really fix myself when it came to that with like, if I noticed judgmental thoughts coming in or me comparing, just anything like that was something that was big for me. And I was really, being watchful of that and trying to fix that. But yeah, I mean, that's really about it. And also, too, it's just like now I'm a lot more peaceful. Before, I was only about, chasing money, making the most money, wanting this, wanting cars, wanting jewelry, um, you know, just a lot of things that really didn't had no meaning to it. And going into this path, it kind of slowed things down and made me realize that none of those things I ever really truly wanted or needed.
Mhm.
It's just something that we were programmed to want. And when we're watching TV, we're seeing others. They literally program us to want certain things, build an idea of what life is supposed to be like and what we need. And I kind of just realized that that's all not true. Like
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just started being grateful just for having myself, having God, being able to be in this path, like just simple, because this life is a lot more simple when, you're, just eating fruit. And I just kind of, like I said, even with life, I go with the flow. I try not to project. I try not to hold expectations. Um, you know,
Yeah. That's awesome. And I know you mentioned like now you're more aware of, the things that you listen, the things that you put into your body as a whole, things that you listen to, the things that you
Mhm.
watch. You find yourself watching less TV,
Mhm.
changing the music and things that you listen to.
Oh yeah, for sure. So when I first got, when I first started and I made that transition, I detoxed. I didn't watch TV for like months. Like I detoxed completely from it naturally. It was just something that I felt like I did not need in my life. There was a lot going on, internally too. So definitely that music. Um, because like you said, music, TV, it's all another way of programming, like especially the news. Like I stopped watching the news before my transition, right, exactly. Like if you open the news, like everything's just like fear, 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 fear. And like literally they just distill fear into you. So I stopped watching news. I knew that even before my awakening. I knew that it was bad. So I stopped. But when I had my awakening is when I really didn't watch TV at all. Not even like TV shows. I was never really into that. But even when sometimes I would watch a TV show, I realized, even the small little subtle things that they have in the episodes or the movies, like it's just terrible. Like over sexualized, fear based. Um, Violence, all things that really does corrupt your mind. And we don't realize how sensitive we are because we've been so like desensitized for
Mhm.
all these things. Um, like it's pretty crazy, but anytime I'm gonna give you an example, like when I started, in the fruitarian path, I remember watching a scary movie one time, right? Because I used to love scary movies back in the days.
Yeah.
I will always watch it. But now when I watched it, during this journey, as soon as that same night I went to sleep, like those things came in my dreams immediately. And I realized that that wasn't normal because I wasn't having dreams like that. I knew myself more. I knew my thoughts. I knew what type of dreams I had. So after I saw the movie and those things, kind of those, I would say like demons or those bad things manifested in my dreams, I realized that what they tell you is true about movies, that they open portals. There's a reason why that they play these movies and they have you watch it. I mean, it's like people don't realize this, but those things get attached to you. They really do. And it was really scary realizing. I was like, wow, that's like so crazy to me. But yeah, and like you said, music too. For a while, I watched out what music I was listening to because I was very sensitive to frequency and energy. So I was very careful with that. Now, 2 years in, like I'm a little bit more lax with it, but naturally you go to more like beautiful music, like nice things and stuff like that, Occasionally, I'll listen to rap here and there, when I want to, but of course it's majority will be like, beautiful music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely do become more sensitive and more aware.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I'm just sitting in silence.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. It's that's
Crazy.
sometimes that's
My
way
husband's
better.
like, why are you, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just.
Yes. No, you're so right. That's actually really funny. I love that you said that because most of my, obviously I'm not listening to music all the time, but when I do have a chance, let's say I'm going on my walks, right, and I'm working out, and I have the chance to listen to music, sometimes I choose not to because, like, even the music, it kind of pollutes you, and I like being more present and like just aware of my surroundings and just like being, present. Sometimes I don't know. I feel like, you know,
Yeah, you just feel more drawn or more called to because it just gets to be too loud to me, and I can't hear
yeah,
myself. I can't hear my inner.
right.
You can't be in touch with my inner self. So yeah,
Right. That's so true.
just drawn to just be in silence a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else keeps you motivated to continue on this journey?
Um, so what keeps me motivated? Man, I mean, what motivated me at first was I was sick my whole life.
Mm,
Like, like in fear too. Like it wasn't just being sick, it was fear of dying, fear of catching a disease, like so much fear in my life. I was a hypochondriac.
Mm,
Anytime I felt something or I got sick or I got a medication, I felt something, I was automatically on Google searching all my symptoms. And now I thought I had cancer, I thought I had lupus, and I dealt with this for a majority of my life. So knowing the peace and freedom I had, knowing that that was all lies, and the only reason why that was happening to me was what I was putting in my body. I
mm,
mean, that was a huge game changer for me. So when when that happened was when like I said, like I just kind of stuck with it. But when I got more deeper into it and deeper into fasting is when I realized that this was a lot more spiritual than it was physical. So it started off being very physical, but in the journey, I started realizing it was super spiritual. So the connection that I grew spiritually with myself, with God, the awareness I have now, that was what really motivated me and made me keep on being stricter myself, prolonged fasting, minimum eating, pushing myself to the limits, because the more I did that, the more I connected with myself, the more aware I became. So that was like almost like it was challenging. I had to challenge myself, but it's a very beautiful process. It's a process of purification, mind, body, and spirit. Not only did I have to purify my body and my mind, but it was also purifying my spirit,
yeah.
because you got layers to your soul when we come into earth and we get programmed and we live life. We, like I said, we develop a lot of layers. We put a lot of layers on ourselves that it took a while to peel all those layers back.
Mm, mm,
But now, like where I'm at now, it's definitely what motivates me now is to help others, to teach others, guide others, because I see how much people want healing. They want connection, and I mean, I know from personal experience, if I would have known this 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have done it, right away.
yeah.
So it's beautiful to see, others coming into groups, coming into the forums, wanting the same help, wanting healing. Some of them are desperate, some of them are going through very severe illnesses, and if I can help one person, that's it's beautiful, because what I'm doing is I'm sharing not only my knowledge but God's love as well, because that's what it is. Through fruit God heals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, what exactly is your contribution? I know you're sharing your story, I know you're helping others along, but what exactly do you do in order to help others? Do you have a specific program that you have set into place, or are you just a mentor to others?
So what I do is I try to stay active in the groups. I follow multiple groups that people reach out to, that ask questions, that are interested in the fruitarian lifestyle. Because as you know, in person it's hard. Like I can't find, even the way I look, what I do. I don't really run into people that ask questions, or that want the same lifestyle or that are looking for healing. So online is really the only place that I can find others that are similar and wanting to go the same path. So I mean, me personally, what I do is that I publish a few books, guides, books, and ebooks where I help people transition. There's a few of them. Some of them is about fasting, mastering fasting. The other one's 60-day transition guide. 7-day detox. I have a book, The Return to Eden, that's more about like spiritual awakening, healing, things like that. But obviously, also I mentor, a coach, but it's really not about that too. It's like when someone asks a question in the groups and they're like, hey, I have diabetes, I don't know what to do, this and that. It's nice to be able to give my feedback and help others, tell them, you know hey, you're okay, you can heal yourself. Like this is what I did to heal myself, because even though I had IBS, this and that. Everybody's diseases manifest differently in their body. So
Hmm.
my illnesses, because I was so young, manifested the way they did. Eventually, it could have became diabetes. It could have became cancer. Some people, their illnesses are a lot more severe, from the beginning. Some of them get diabetes right away. They don't I mean, they don't have any other problems, and they get cancer out of nowhere. So it like the root problem is our gut,
Yeah.
right? That's the inner terran. When you fix what you're putting in your body, you can heal yourself from anything. So, sharing that, helping others with that is, really nice.
Yeah, yeah. So where can they find you? Where can they send
So
are you looking for help and assistance from you or your books that you have? Where can you
Mhm. So yeah, so you can actually find me on Amazon. That'll probably be the fastest way. Amazon, I have all my books published there. You can either just type in, look for the author Alex Santos. That's how you can find me through there, or just type in the Return to Eden, and that will show up my book on Amazon. But also on Facebook, Mr. Fruitarian. You can find me through there. That's where I share like my posts, my stories, my transformation, and I have all my links there too. That they can find my ebooks and my hard copies as well.
awesome. And then what advice do you have for anyone who is looking to get started on this journey? Do you have any advice for them? Mhm.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, it's not as hard as people make it seem, or like the pressure they put on themselves. It's super easy. Like how I transitioned was so easy, because really we shouldn't be having breakfast, right? So the first thing you do is have fruit for breakfast. It's the easiest thing, right? If you do that, you're already ahead of the game. Now, if you can replace your lunch with fruit, that's amazing. Replacing breakfast and lunch. That's exactly how I started from the beginning. And then I had my one meal a day. When I first started, I didn't stop eating meat because I knew it. Like I knew, even though I knew the knowledge behind and the awareness behind eating meat and what it does to you spiritually, physically, and mentally, I knew that if I tried jumping straight into a fruitarian lifestyle, I was going to fail.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about it. I've been programmed at that time. I was 34. I knew 34 years of eating meat and being trained a certain way and programmed. I got to be realistic. So I made sure I did things a smart way, but it happened fast. So I replaced breakfast and lunch, and I would bring a fruit bowl with me to work. And what I was doing is for that, either I would have my fruit bowl for lunch or I would save that fruit bowl for when I had that one meal. So I would have, for example, whatever it was, rice and beans and steak, or I had a sandwich, whatever it was. I would, have it all at one time. And I made sure I ate enough to where I was full and I wouldn't want food later. So that was very important. I made sure I ate enough in that one time. Um, Now, when I did that, eventually, like after a few weeks, because while you're doing this, the goal is to cut off the meat, and like that. So you have to be aware of what you're doing. Even though you're transitioning and you're having that one meal a day, you want to be hard on yourself too. You got to have a goal set. Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it for. So yeah, like after a few weeks of doing that, my body was already melting weight. Like I was losing tons of weight. I was feeling 100 times better. Like I felt like completely different. And that alone um, was like gave me the motivation to cut off meat. So as soon as I started feeling really good and I dropped all that weight, it became easy because I already was eating the majority of fruit throughout my day. So replacing that when I was ready and I started taking off the meat and just having a fruit bowl, it was a lot easier. My body was already accustomed to doing that. And by the way, I'm breaking my fast with you at 6 o'clock here with the
Oh wow.
smoothie.
What's in your smoothie?
Huh?
What's in your smoothie?
Yeah.
What kind of
What's in it, you said?
uh-huh.
This one has mixed berries, strawberry, and banana,
Mhm.
and almond milk.
Oh, that sounds good. And you make your own almond milk?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do that. Like I have the almond cow where I make, fresh almond milk, or um let's just say if I'm lazy and I need to, get almond milk, there's a really good brand called Khalifa with a Chalifa, and it
Okay.
only has three ingredients: water, almonds, and sea salt. So it's the best brand because you already know. You go to the store, you try to get almond milk, and it has like five different, gums, preservatives.
Mhm.
It's terrible, So you're not even getting real almond milk. So I'm very conscious about that.
Yeah, yeah. There's one brand here and it's called Monk. I don't know. I'm from Texas, and so I know you're from Miami, and
Mhm.
I don't know if they sell it there too, but yeah, you definitely do have to read the ingredients to see exactly what you're getting. I'm glad you brought that up too, because a lot of people don't turn on the back and look at the ingredients. And most times, if you have something with a long list of ingredients, you shouldn't be eating it anyway. Anything with a
Yeah.
shelf life, you really shouldn't be
Yeah,
consuming.
it's kind of messed up because like even in the stores you'll see organic almond milk, but 99% of those brands are all BS. They have, 10, 15 different ingredients in it. So you like the label itself doesn't mean anything. You like you said, you literally have to look in the back of the product and see the exact ingredients in it.
Yeah, they put organic on everything because that's how they sell people. Like, oh, it's organic, so it must be healthy for you. But no,
No. Like
no.
it's funny because one time I was at Publix, right? And I mean, I knew about, the ingredients in that. And I saw a bottle that said, organic, fresh watermelon. And usually when you see products, they have to be somewhat honest. So it looked really good. I was like, oh, let me see what it is. I'm not dumb. I'm going to check it anyways. And I looked back in the ingredients, and I promise you there was at least 40 different ingredients. There was like no watermelon in it. It was all just artificial. And
Watermelon
they
flavoring.
yeah, no, and they had it labeled as like fresh organic watermelon juice. I'm like, oh my God, this is so terrible.
Yeah, so let that be a lesson to everyone to read your ingredients before you consume anything with the ingredients.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know why? So that you bring up a perfect thing, right? When you're telling people to be careful. You see, when I ran across, this lifestyle, I this was what made me get so interested in it, right? Was that I didn't want to look at the ingredients no more. I didn't want to go to, the store and look at every product and see what different ingredients on it. Because even if it's packaged, it's still man-made in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what I was taught was that if there's more than three ingredients, me personally, if there's like really, if there's more than one ingredient, you really shouldn't be eating it, right? So keep it simple and just eat what God gave us from the beginning. It
Mhm.
could be so simple, but what makes it hard for people to transition is those cravings, that emotional eating, that programming that we have for so long. So it's really that when they're eating fruit, yeah, they think that they don't feel full or it's not giving them enough food, but really what it is they want that comfort food.
That's
They want that because the reason why there's so many ingredients in these products is because they hit dopamine receptors in your brain. They're chemicals. So they literally have you addicted to food.
mhm.
So you got to think about it. If you look at those 30, 50 ingredients, why is there so many ingredients in it? Those are 30, 50 different ingredients to hit your brain receptors to get you addicted to it. So, that's what it really is. That's why it's so hard for people to do it. And that's why a lot of times when I tell people about this fruitarian path, that yeah, it is very physical, but it's very spiritual as well.
Mhm.
Like you have to be like you have to want to do it for more reasons than just your health,
Yeah.
because if you're just doing it for health, you're going to quickly realize that, it's going to be a lot harder than you can ever imagine. That's when it's important that you have to find a higher power, right? Which is God. And that's what helped me, transition and get through it. Because from the beginning, I knew that it was going to be difficult, but I knew that I had to do it for God. For some reason, I don't know why, but I knew it was a very spiritual thing that I had to do. And that's what helped me and made a smooth transition.
And a lot of times you kind of have to separate yourself too. Like you said, it was a lonely journey. Sometimes you
Mhm.
do have to separate yourself from all of the people and their thoughts about, what you should be doing.
Yes,
And yeah, that
that's
makes
beautifully
it
said.
easier too. But it's
Oh,
still,
yeah.
it's not easy at all. But yeah, yeah, but definitely doable for sure. So
Yeah. No, that was, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a huge thing too. Because the people around you are going to, tell you everything to make you not do it. They're
Mm.
gonna give you advice when they don't even know what they're doing. That's what blows my mind is that your family members that are on diabetes medications, are on high blood pressure, that are overweight, are going to tell you that fruit's bad,
Yeah.
that it has only sugar, but it's not their fault, though, right?
So
I
they
mean,
don't know.
yeah, it's not their fault. They don't know better, but it is a little bit funny when you're more aware of it and you're
Yeah,
like
it
seeing
definitely
things,
is.
you're like, but
Oh, I have
yeah, so
one last question for you before we go. So, what are your so like for the holidays? Because this isn't your first time going through the holidays eating this way. So, what are your plans for the holidays, or what did you do the last holidays? How do you manage that?
so what I do is last year, what I did was luckily I had a really good vegan friend
Okay.
and she was amazing at cooking. Like she made everything from scratch, like butternut squash, um like cheese and like everything was just like natural. Like it was beautiful, right? So I got blessed with that. That was like my first time actually experiencing a Thanksgiving where like I had like real vegan food.
Yeah.
This time around, what I'm going to do personally, I'm going to make my own dish for the family. Of course, I'm going to make enough for myself. I'm going to put my family on too, show them how good, food can be without meat. Uh, but also like yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do to protect myself, right? Because I mean now I'm not really worried about it, obviously, even if I didn't have those options. But let's just say a year ago, you have to be mindful and you have to be careful because there are temptations.
Yeah.
Going there not prepared, not having food with yourself, you're risking a lot, usually you're gonna fall for temptation. That's normal. um, so what I do personally, besides Thanksgiving, right? Let's say if I go to a family before, when I would go to a family's house, I will eat a big, grounding veggie bowl before I went there, and I made sure I was full. And when I got there, I wouldn't cave. I wouldn't want nothing from there.
Yeah.
So, that's a little tip for people that go to, family events, Thanksgiving. If they can't make any food, get yourself, something from a restaurant, something healthy, something raw, and just get a big bowl and just fill yourself up before you go.
That's really good advice. Really good advice. But I like what you're doing because not only are you going, you're still going to the family function,
Mm.
but then at the same time, you're making sure that you're fed, and then you're introducing your family members to this lifestyle and this way of eating, and showing that it is sustainable, and it is life.
Right,
So maybe you'll just planting seeds. So maybe
right.
eventually someone will say, "Oh, well, let me give it a try." So yeah, that's awesome.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like I can say like now I'm ready to do that. Like a year ago,
Yeah,
I probably wasn't ready, like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
now, yeah, definitely I'm ready to transition to that part where, I can, cook my family food as well and myself.
Yeah, you definitely have to be ready. Thank you
Hmm.
so much for being here and doing this interview. I know that it's truly going to be a blessing to a lot of people. You gave so much great advice, so many great gems about getting started and how you don't need protein in order to build muscle. A lot of people need to hear that because they've just been having it so ingrained in their mind. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
truly amazing. So keep telling your story and just spreading the news about how changing your lifestyle, changing your diet through this lifestyle is truly rewarding. Yeah, in so many ways.
yeah, it is. And thank you for having me here. But yeah, it's super rewarding. I'm very grateful. Like
Yeah,
I love life again.
absolutely. Yes, life is beautiful.